So the playoff stage of the UEFA Champions League is getting pretty exciting based on the results recorded in the 8 games played. But then the most shocking one actually was in Istanbul, where Galatasaray managed to put 5 past Juventus, 2-time winners of the UEFA Champions League. They are still gunning for the Scudetto in Italy. But then it seemed there were no match for the Turkish giants, as Gabriel Sara, the likes of Victor Osimhen and co, managed to come together to put Juventus to the sword, and that gives them a healthy advantage heading into the second leg at the Allianz Stadium in Turin. That will be played in the next couple of days. But for Juventus themselves, they're really struggling, domestically, and they'll be hoping that at least they can put up a very, very spirited performance in the first half and then see what they can do subsequently in the rest of the game. But for Galatasaray, they'll be holding on to that 3-0 advantage, or 3-goal advantage, if I should put it, heading into the second round of the game. Not just that, Real Madrid were also in action. They traveled all the way to Lisbon, the Estadio da Luz, where they took on Benfica. It was a game that was marred with so many controversies. Why? Because Real Madrid star Vinicius Junior actually scored a spectacular goal, and while celebrating, it looked like he had to halt it because he alleged that he had been subjected to some racial abuse by supporters of Benfica and then also the players of Benfica. It was a cagey game. You remember 20 days ago, prior to this game, that same game was played at the same venue, but then this time the result was a bit different, because 20 days ago was Benfica and that beat Real Madrid by 4-2. And Anatoly Trubin, that's a goalkeeper for Benfica, scored one of the most historic and memorable goals in the history of the competition, where he scored a 4th goal for Benfica to give them that 4-2 win, which saw them qualify narrowly ahead of Marseille into the playoff zone. So it was an interesting result that was actually recorded in that particular game. Now to the St. Louis Stadium in Monaco. It was an all-Ligue 1 affair between AS Monaco and then also Paris Saint-Germain. The game started very, very well for AS Monaco. It was Folarin Balogun that struck twice in the first 20 minutes of the game for Monaco. But then PSG had to respond. That notwithstanding, PSG actually, for the second season running in the new format of the UEFA Champions League, have needed to play in the playoffs to advance to the round of 16 stage. And they ensured that they wouldn't go down without putting up a fight. It was the same venue they lost at a couple of months ago in the League 1. But then in the UEFA Champions League, these boys have got a different mentality and a different character. So Desiree J had to come on later in that game, and he inspired what would be a memorable comeback for Paris Saint-Germain, despite the fact that their talisman or even playmaker Vitinha had to miss a penalty. They didn't care about that. They came from a goal down to beat AS Monaco by 3-2 to ensure that the second leg at the Parc des Princes would really be a smooth one and an easy one for them after beating Monaco by 3 goals to 2. Borussia Dortmund also stayed at the Signal Iduna Park, where it was Şengül Gürasi and then also Max Bayer scoring for Borussia Dortmund in the game against Atlanta. They would also be traveling all the way to the Gateway Stadium in Bergamo to take on Atalanta in the second leg. But then riding at the back of that healthy 2-0 advantage, you guess that Borussia Dortmund will be able to overcome that test to qualify to the round of 16. These were games played on Tuesday in the playoff round of the UEFA Champions League first leg. But then on Wednesday, interesting results as well, because Newcastle began the round of games with a game in Azerbaijan, where they had to travel, a long distance to play this game. But then it was an emphatic win for them, flawless from the Magpies, as they trashed Qarabag by 6-1, which means that heading back to Tyneside for the second leg, it would really be, a smooth affair for them. But then Bodo Glimt were also in action. The Norwegian team managed to also beat Inter Milan by 3-1. Now, Inter Milan are finalists from last season. Mind you, last season they were in the finals with Paris Saint-Germain, where they lost woefully by 5-0. And they also had to slump into the playoff zone after failing to qualify automatically for the round of 16 stage. And it was a game that many were tipping Inter Milan to, at least, with the quality they have, being led by, Christian Chivu in the dugout, will be able to get a win over Bodo Glimt. But Bodo Glimt really showed so much spirit. You know that in the last 2 games they played in the group stages, they managed to beat teams like Atletico de Madrid away from home and Manchester City on home soil. So, defeating Inter Milan didn't really come as a surprise. But then many were thinking that, with all the quality, and the fact that Inter Milan are unstoppable in the Serie A, they should be able to beat the team from the Scandinavia. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And Bodo Glimt will be hoping that they can qualify to the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League when they vetted the Giuseppe Meazza to take on Inter Milan. You also have Club Brugge also upsetting Atletico de Madrid. In a game where Atletico de Madrid actually led by as many as 2 goals, they failed to win the game, as after 90 minutes, it ended in a 3-3 stalemate. And for Club Brugge, they themselves were hoping that at least they can go all the way to the Metropolitano in Madrid to upset Atletico de Madrid if they have any chance at all of qualifying to the round of 16. And one of the games that also set a very, very thrilling yet a shocking result was a game that was played in Athens in Greece, where Olympiacos lost to Bayer Leverkusen by 2-0. Shocking result. But then for Bayer Leverkusen, it's not really looking good for them in the Bundesliga domestically. But then it was a good win for them as they prepare to return to the Bay Arena for the second round at the back of that 2-0 win. So these are the results that actually panned out from 8 games played in the first leg of the playoff round in the UEFA Champions League. Let's hear from you. Which game really fascinated you the most? Which game was your game of the round? And which teams you think will qualify to the round of 16 to join the 8 teams that have already qualified automatically in the UEFA Champions League?